All right, back to work on the brakes on the Minneapolis Moline A4T 1600. Slight change in the weather. Like 2 days ago, it was in the upper 80s and shorts and whatever. And this morning, it's in the mid 40s and very chilly. So I got the new master cylinder and the wheel cylinders. And just so anybody else that needs to know, the master cylinders are Ray Bestis. There's the part number. The wheel cylinders, that's the number on those. I think I got these off of Amazon. And here's one that's out of the bag. So last night I'm like trying to make up some time, and I'm gonna put these on. Put on the master cylinder, and the old hose, I was just gonna use it to kind of bleed it. And the fitting that was there stripped out. Long story, that wouldn't work, so I was going to put on the master cylinders, but I pulled out the plug for the one side on the master cylinders that came out of the old ones, and it didn't fit. And I'm like, crap, these new ones must be metric. And I went to Napa this morning, we tried a bunch of different fittings, and then what I figured is when they remanufactured these or made them or whatever, they put, there's some paint or whatever in the threads on these new wheel cylinders. So once you clean that out, everything will work. So wasted a little bit of time at Napa this morning to spend about $3 on a couple little fittings, which that's a win that I'm not spending that much. The other interesting thing I found on when I got this master cylinder is inside the box is this warning, do not bench bleed. I'm like, huh, interesting. And there's instructions, and I actually did the non-manly thing, and I looked at these, and the very top line says master cylinder bench bleeding instructions. Kind of funny. I didn't bench bleed it. I put it on the tractor. It's going to bleed fine as it is, but I thought that was rather humorous. So I'm going to work on getting these wheel cylinders on, getting my line back on, getting some fluid in it, and then bleeding and seeing if I have brakes today, because last night I did, and part of this, I pulled the plates off both sides of the rear brakes, and just to check function on both sides, and I got good function on both sides, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. So it's just basically now putting the wheel cylinders on here, 2 bolts, getting there's a little spot in there for that little pin on the wheel cylinder, and then hooking up my brake line, and then adjusting this. I think they want 0.28 inches of play in that. I got to go back inside and look at the book when I adjust that, but anyway, I'll get that set, and then once I get that set, I'll hook everything up. But there's my new master cylinder in there, and I'll get everything plumbed up, and we should be good to go. So I'm excited to get brakes hopefully today. What a day. This rubber line gave me a lot of fits today. Just going to show that to you. So got wheel cylinders on, got the brakes adjusted, was working my way through everything. It just wouldn't bleed. I tried to gravity bleed it, I tried a vacuum bleed, and it just wouldn't bleed. So I started pulling apart the brake lines at connection. So there's the connection up there where the rubber hose comes down from the master cylinder, then it goes underneath, and I traced it to here where it hooked up to that rubber line. As you can see, there's a new rubber line. So that rubber line goes to the other side, where there is a splitter here that rubber line comes into, and it splits it for each side here in the back. So I pulled that apart, and of course I had no fluid. I pulled that line off. That line is like plugged. Couldn't get a wire through it, couldn't get brake cleaner through it, couldn't get compressed air through it. So had to run around to Napa in Delaware, and then over to Sunbury, which is like 20 minutes away, to get that line to hopefully make this work. You can see here I've got the wheel cylinders on. I've bled them. Parking brake's still not working, but I'm not super concerned about that right now. I think I have my play set. I got my springs hooked back up. And on this side, it's the duplicate of that. So got my wheel cylinder on, bled, everything's set up. So now I just need to test it. I need to Miss Ohio MM is out here someplace, and I'm going to see if she'll at least, I don't know if she'll get up in here because the mice, but you can see the master cylinder there. I did put a bait block up in the up there just to see if there's still mouse in here, and sure enough it was not on today, so hopefully the bait block will kill the mouse. But here she comes. I'm going to see if she'll give me a hand and check these things. Alright, I checked the brakes with Mrs. Ohio MM. They worked. I mean, they moved, but this side over here didn't retract. Got this thing started. It does not like to start when it's cooler. The day we got it running, it was like 90. Every other day it's been pretty warm. Today I had to use some starting juice to get it going. Anyway, come down the driveway a little bit, and when I actuate the brakes, this one definitely doesn't retract. I got to figure out why that is. When I hit the bleeder screw, it releases and goes back in. Feel this tire kind of release pressure, so I don't know why. The other side isn't doing that. A little confusing. Need to, not a brake technician nor a mechanic really, so I might have to ask some people on why that might be happening. But this side releases, so baffled at this minute. By the way, something I did yesterday is I did shorten those down. I'll check on the other side if it interferes when I'm backing this back in, and hopefully not with the back tire. So anyway, that's as far as I've made it today. I'm a little disappointed that one's not releasing. I put so much work in these freaking brakes, but oh well, I'll figure it out. At least one works, and I've heard they're not great anyway, so when I hit them, I mean, it stops, but it doesn't stop fast. Well, slight pause on the A4T. I'm waiting on one rubber line that hopefully will be in tomorrow at Napa, and then hopefully I get the brakes working. So this evening, it's chilly out, looks like it could rain at any time, so what I'm going to do is from Dean Zingray, I got the assortment of new valves for the G950 propane tank, so I'm going to go ahead and swap these out, including the relief valve up there. I also got the valves for down here, but I need to pull the tank to get to those, and I also got a new gauge that I will also do. But tonight, while it's still on the tractor, I think it's going to be easier to do these while it's on the tractor, and it's solid, so I can get a wrench on them and pull them off. So that's my my little project for this evening. Then my line of thinking on this is get my new valves in this, pull the tank, put my other two valves in the new gauge. While it's off the tractor, haul it over to the brother-in-law, Dave's, who has the way of filling these. Put 10 or 15 gallons of propane in it, enough that I can bring it back. I can test, make sure nothing's leaking, bring it back, hook it up, test, make sure nothing's leaking. I can run it a while. That way I don't have to take the whole tractor over there to fill it, because that right now is the only way I have to fill this tank is over at his place. So that's what I'm doing. My buddy Shane is working on he's cutting out a side panel, so for taking the one propane side panel I have, cutting out a full one that I had off a diesel, so I'll have those made. And he's also working on the seat back for the seat there. So get all those back. If I can get this going, that's good. I got the front end still soaking on this thing with my mix. I don't know if you can see it down in the axle, but there's actually fluid in there. You can see it shining. It's leaking in the middle, but I'm going to guess it's made it up to the pivot point and it's leaking out of there. That's good. That means the whole tube is now full of this penetrant. So at least from here down is soaking. And, you know, then I can drive around and see if I can jostle the front end enough to free that up. I don't know. For all I care, it can soak all winter, because this is not fun adjusting these, but I'm hoping it comes loose pretty easy. This is like Andy's perfect world. This comes apart pretty easy, and I can get this adjusted in 2 holes. I only want 1 hole showing, and I can put my new tie rods on and get everything adjusted. Potentially new bushings at the pivot points. I'll see how that goes, and then hopefully this front end is good to go. So tonight I can do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to work on these valves. All right, so I got these 3 valves in pretty easily. The other ones came out pretty well. I've got a big inch set of sockets that just fit over them, and you can use the big ratchet to get the leverage. Here's the ones that came out. You can see it's pretty, it's not the cleanest. And then I took out, well, and here's the old pressure relief valve from the top, and it's all crudted up. So I took out that, put the new one in, and when I did, I looked down in there with a flashlight, and there's fluid in the bottom. I just talked to Dean Zingray. He's like, yeah, that's in there. He said, so I'm going to do, when I do the fuel gauge, I'm going to clean all this stuff out, that dirt that's in there, and I'm going to soak that with penetrant here the next couple days. But when I take that out, I'm going to leave that out, and then when I pull the whole tank and have the valves out of the bottom, I'm going to he said stick a hot water pressure washer nozzle in that hole and let it drain, have that on the bottom where these valves are, come out, and let the water drain out of those, and then hit it with compressed air to blow all the moisture out of the inside and let it dry. So I think that sounds like a pretty good plan to me, to get all that crap out of the bottom of the tank. But that's where I'm at. I always appreciate talking to Dean, because Dean has got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to these things. So I think right now I'm going to clean out all the crap around the gauge, get some air to blow that out, and then hit it with some penetrant and fill it up, and then kind of maybe start doing a little bit of prep on this to pull the tank, which I won't do tonight, but I'll do here soon. So in true fashion of me, I looked at the clock. I'm like, I got some more time. I'll mess with some more stuff. So the fuel gauge came out. The screws all popped right out. There weren't any problems. This is kind of crudded up though on the float. And yeah, so I said, you know what? It doesn't look like it'd be too hard to take that tank off. So I wheeled the gantry over. Got a chain hooked up, just took out the 4 bolts. Front 2 bolts are not bad. The back 2 bolts are here, and to get to the back side is very difficult because of all the brake lever and everything else that's here. Both sides are a nightmare to get off. That was not fun. So I'm going to go ahead and try to lift this thing out now, and hopefully it comes out fairly easy. So what I gotta do is watch on the back side for the valves to come through, which we just did. Uh-oh. I didn't think this through very well. All right, I'm gonna have to reset this here. I don't know. I think I know what I need to do. All right, Tom, the neighbor, just stopped by. He wanted to check out the A4T project. So what my problem was is I was trying not to crush one of the propane lines that runs behind the blocks, but I took it off, got it out of the way. So we'll try to do this again. This is going to get interesting because it's going to have to tip a little to clear the valves. Now I'm in a bind. Moline Dan made this look so much easier. Literally, just need to clear just a little. Okay, thanks, Tack Cable. Gave me a heart attack. All right, I see what my problem was. There are the tabs for the bodywork, which I'm going to have to bend back because I just bent them. It's always probably wise to clear out your work area before you do this. So that's it, got it out. What I was talking about are these tabs right here. Actually, I can probably take those off for putting it back in, but I bent those up a little, pulling it out of there. I didn't think about that. So a little dirty in here. I do need to, while I'm in here, see why my 3-speed's not going into low. And I'll do some cleanup in there for sure. All right, well, this took longer than I thought. I need to take care of the horse and the donkey to make Mrs. Ohio MM happy. And I'm gonna crank this down to the ground and let it sit until I can work on it either tomorrow or the next night. I'll get the power washer out and try to clean out the inside as Dean suggested. So. All right, Saturday morning, and I'm back to work on the brakes on the A4T. This is the rubber line that went from the master cylinder down to the metal lines that are existing. This is the 90 that went in the master cylinder. It had this adapter in it to adapt to that end of the rubber line. So I got the wrong line in, then I got this line in, and found out that this was stripped to try to put it in there because it's not the right one. and that was yesterday afternoon. I'm glad I wasn't filming because you wouldn't have liked to heard all the words that came out of my mouth, because it was 75 and sunny yesterday, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this thing going and I can drive it today. And in the words of one of those college football guys, not so fast. So that put me on hold on working on the A4T yesterday. So I went through my propane lines for the 950. There's a T, so that comes out of one of the valves. That metal line goes into a T. The other part of that T is this line here. This goes to a valve to that T, and then it goes on to the regulator. So I found out, tried to blow air through this one. This one's all clogged up because of these sharp bends. I can't get a wire through it. So I've been filling it with acetone and brake fluid and other things, hoping to break it down, and eventually it'll soften up enough I can blow it out and get a good flow through there. And after I hot water pressure washed the tank the other day, worked out well. It cleaned it out well, except it left water in the tank. So I've got the heater going on the tank to get it nice and hot, which it is hot. Yep, it's hot. And shake it up a little bit, because there was just hoping to evaporate out all the water that's in there, so I can put the last valves in it and the fuel gauge, throw it in the bed of the truck, take it over to brother-in-law Dave's, put at least 40% in it, and bring it back so I can work on the 950. Also, while I couldn't work on the brakes, I messed around with my linkages on the 3-speed. It was only going into 2 speeds, direct and high, or however you want to call that. And so with some adjustments, this bolt there, that adjustment bolt, was all the way down at the bottom. So I did it the other way, and now I have, there's direct, or that's low, there's direct, and then it should snap into over. It's tough because that support there for it is bending. But yeah, I've got 3 distinct clicks in it now. So I'm anxious to drive this and see if I have 3-speed. Out of that T that I was talking about before, this is the line that then goes on up to the filter over here. And then the filter's got this line that comes around the back. That line was plugged up, if you remember, that goes to the regulator. If I get all these cleaned out, I should have a pretty good flow. So fast forward to this morning, earlier. Yes, everything is still a mess in here. And it's yesterday was 75, sunny, and absolutely beautiful, and today is gray and rainy, and I'm wearing a raincoat because I've been out here working on this thing. But I went to Napa this morning and talked to my guys and said, I'm tired of messing around with this. It's killing me. So I went with a metal line, a bendable metal line. So I bent it there, it goes through and then comes out. Bent it around and plugged in. I just bled it, I just checked it, and I have brakes. So they engage and they release. So I'm getting ready right now to put my shields back on in there. I'll put my side plate on here. These probably need adjusted, fine-tuned a little bit, but the main thing is they go back and forth. So that rubber line was completely my problem up here. There must have been a flap or something in it that was preventing good flow back to the master cylinder. Now with that metal line, that should all be solved. So I'm going to, like I said, button this up, and then I'm going to start this thing and try out my brakes. And hopefully, by trying out my brakes, I'm saying go down the driveway, hit the pedal, and I stop, kind of, because I know these brakes aren't great anyway. So just want to give you a quick update. I'll take you on the ride with me, and we'll see what we have as far as brakes go. All right, went through, put all the shields back on, greased it, put some fresh diesel in it, like 12 gallons, not a whole lot. And yeah, just kind of went over it, make sure everything's good. just fired it up. It did take a little bit of starting fluid to get it going. Definitely doesn't like to be cold. I'm for sure going to put a new hot water circulator on there. That'll help it start when it's cold. So I'm just letting it warm up a few minutes, and I'm gonna take it down the driveway and test my brakes out. Hopefully they work. I'll be really bummed out if they don't work. All right, I'm just gonna show you how these actuate. This is after I've having them adjusted. I just realized I didn't tighten back down my set, but I'm gonna do that here in a minute. And yep, this is when I hit the brake pedal. We'll see how it works. So it doesn't move a whole lot because I had to adjust it down so it would actually actuate when I hit the brake pedal, but it does work, and I don't think they're dragging. So that's where we're at. All right, I think I got brakes for sure. I had to do some adjusting on them, so I wasn't sure they were working, but I adjusted them down. I'm not sure that the adjustments in the book are exactly where I'm at, but I can definitely tell I have brakes now. And so I'm in 5th low, and here we go. Brakes. So it doesn't stop on a dime, but it definitely slows it down quickly, or quicker than it did. Quick enough it just slammed the door. And here's if I go 5th and I don't push the brakes. Just keep rolling. So better than nothing. It's not perfect, but at least I have some brakes. I feel a little bit more confident. Alternator lights on, not surprised. I am running about 58 pounds of oil pressure. It's been running for a while. I think the fuel gauge is working. Not exactly sure. When I put fuel in it, it did react. So it's a wet day, so it's smoking quite a bit, but to be expected. So, all right, I think that's the end of my brake project on this thing. I'll probably stop this video and then pick up when I keep working on the 950. I appreciate everybody watching. Please comment if you want. Everybody's loving this A4T, including myself. So please like and subscribe, and I'm going to keep them coming because we're not done with everything yet.